Now I'm going to show you how to make a really, really nice Epsom salt for your bath with white pine. And all you need are your white pine needles and some Epsom salt. And there's a couple of ways that you could do this. I'm using a coffee grinder to grind the needles up more finely. You could also just chop them pretty finely, but you do want the needles to be more open. The thing that I'm trying to avoid, but I'm not sure I will be able to avoid by using the coffee grinder is like, you're putting these in your bath and like I always make such a mess in the bath when I take baths with my plants and flowers and herbs. But to avoid a big mess, I'm trying to make the plants a little smaller so they'll go down the drain, which I don't know if that's the best thing for the drain. But you can always just cut it up very finely. But I have a special coffee grinder that I use just for my herbs. You don't really want to use your regular coffee grinder to do this because then it'll be a little piney, even though I don't think that pine and coffee would be the worst combination, but other people in your household might not appreciate your creativity when it comes to their coffee grinder. So I have one specifically. But again, you could just like cut it up very finely, or you could use a knife and chop it up very finely. But you do want to do, I'm getting pine needles everywhere. You do want to do some chopping. You don't want to use the needles whole because we're doing this to release the aromatics, right? Which is one of the main benefits of doing this Epsom salt. Okay, so I ground up a fair amount of the needles. Again, it's not like super powdery, and there's still some twigs in there too, which for me is fine, but you can strain them out if you wanted to make it just so smooth with the needles. And then what you need is a jar. I would use a glass jar. You could make a bigger one, but I feel like this pint size is kind of nice. And you're going to just want to layer your Epsom salts with your juicy pine needles. That smells so good. And by doing this, you're going to have to let this one sit for a little while so that the salts and the needles kind of marry together a little bit. And there's a couple of reasons why you would want to do this by adding pine instead of just having your Epsom salts. The pine is really aromatic, right? And the aroma of the pine needles is very cleansing, very purifying, and it's also really great to open up your airways, right? Like your respiratory, your lungs, and your nasal passages. So you'll have the beautiful aromatherapy. It's also very grounding and just like a nice way to up the medicinal properties of your Epsom salt bath. I mean, Epsom salt on its own is really beneficial to bathe in. Did I already say that pine does have some, no, I didn't say this. Pine has some muscle relief benefits, right? So it helps with sore muscles, as does the salt. So both of these things combined just give you an added relaxation for your muscles. Look how pretty this is. And the Epsom salts also have the magnesium, right? Which so many of us are deficient in. And so your skin is your biggest organ, right? And so getting that Epsom salt and magnesium in through your bath is just a really nice way to take your vitamins. Okay, so we're going to just top this off with a little bit of the Epsom salt, and then you could also layer in other scents or plants if you wanted to. Ginger could be a nice one. to bring into this for the aroma as well as some of the warming properties that it has. And then you're just going to let this sit for a few weeks. So I feel like I want to use it. I want to go take a bath right now and use it, but you're just going to want to let it sit so the pine needles and the salts can kind of blend together, and it will just really enhance the salts really taking in all of those benefits that are coming from the pine needles. So it's a really super easy way to really like make something nice for yourself, or to make it and give it as a gift. And then once it's kind of set for a while, you don't want to really have it in the sun. You want to put it in like a cool, dark place to hang out and wait for you. Once it's set, you can just add it to your bath under the running water. I would use at least a quarter of this, maybe half would be really nice for a bath, but just kind of see how it feels for you as the salts and needles come together to really give you like a really nice, like beneficial experience in the bath, to soothe your muscles, to open up your airways, to give you just that like calming, grounding aromatherapy part of it too. Enjoy.